All right, good morning. It is here right at 9:10 a.m. here on Wednesday, September 10th. I do hereby, as it appears we do have a quorum, I do hereby call this ad hoc committee of the Industrial Development Board to order. Moving on to item number 2, public comment period. The Industrial Development Board holds a designated public comment period at each meeting. Members of the public in attendance may provide comments to the board or its committees during such designated time. Members of the public are allotted 2 minutes for public comment. No advance registration is required. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak today? All right, seeing as how there's no one here wishing to speak during the public comment period, we will move and close the public comment period. Moving on to item number 3, approval of prior ad hoc meeting minutes. Prior meeting minutes where we had a quorum official meeting was April 9th, 2025. I'll give everybody a moment to take a look at those. Mark, myself, and Joshua Haston, Mark Wright were in attendance, and we had a speaker from Rebuilding Together talk to us, and really good discussion regarding the preservation of home ownership as it pertains to affordable housing and working to keep people in their homes. Thought it was a really robust discussion. I'll give everyone a minute to take a look at those. And again, I want to thank Anton Jackson, Director of Administrative Advancement, for taking the time to speak to us on this very important issue. Again, I'll give you all a minute to take a look at those, and I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
If there's any changes, I'll make a motion.
All right, so we have a motion from Board Member Wright to approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a proper second from Vice Chair Heston. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I guess I'll need, any abstentions? Are you voting or no?
I'm abstaining just because
Okay.
I wasn't here.
Oh, fair enough. I think I'll vote then, so let me do that again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Say nay. All right, one abstention for the record. Thank you.
Sounded like a good meeting though.
Yeah, it was really good. And I'm going to come back to some of the topics here later on in this meeting. And I encourage anyone here, if you missed it, feel free to watch the video. I thought it was really informative. Really great discussion.
It was.
All right, so we've been doing some housing research. So I didn't know if some folks had done their research yet. I'm not naming any names.
I found
Oh, what? Okay.
I actually emailed this to Jamar to send out. So
okay.
I did like 2 months ago. I know I'm still about 6 months late, but hey.
Okay. All right. Well, we got you. Yours. What's it? Tell me.
Austin.
Austin. Oh, great. Yeah. So we'll make sure we hit that next time. So
Okay.
mine is one of the cities I had 2. One of them is Denver. So I'll kind of just go through some highlights, and then, like I said, today I want to talk a little bit as well about the Unified Housing Strategy that's been released. We had back in June, we had Representative come speak to us about the Unified Housing Strategy as well during the ad hoc meeting. So we'll talk to a little bit about Denver, kind of what they're doing. There's obviously been some new legislation here in Nashville here within the past few months regarding housing and some zoning changes. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then talk a little bit about the Unified Housing Strategy. And I'll kind of tell you all just some thoughts that I had coming back to this speaker that we had back in April as well, and how potentially there's an opportunity for us, how I've just kind of been thinking about this. And anyway, we'll have discussion on that.
Before you start with Denver, real quick, do we have copies?
Uh,
I did
no.
finish New Orleans. I sent it.
You-
I finally,
you
like you, I
did.
finally finished it.
What I'll
Sent it
do
to
is-
Jamari back in April.
This is not really set up for that, but what I'll do is I'll put it in better form so we can send it out to you all later.
Okay.
So I'll hit the highlights, and then we did not discuss New
'Cause I
Orleans.
wasn't here,
You
right,
weren't here,
but I did
so
send it
I thought it made more sense to have you present that. So we'll get that.
I'll be prepared to present it
Next
at our
meeting.
next meeting, and I'm sure
Perfect.
Jamari will print it out so we all can have copies of that
All
too.
right.
Okay.
Sounds
Same
good.
with yours.
Yep.
Yeah, I've
And
got
you already
mine right
printed
here.
yours.
Yeah, I just printed it out.
All right, good deal. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Denver. Thought this made sense too. Again, we picked several cities, trying to look at cities that are high growth, like Nashville. One thing that stood out to me with Denver is in recent years, Denver from 2010 to 2019 added more than 120,000 residents and 56,000 households. That's a 22% increase in number of households. So this is a comparable city that's experienced a lot of growth. One of the things that they've done, though, is really develop a plan, which I think is consistent with what we're doing now as a city with the Unified Housing Strategy. A little different. They had an expanding housing affordability project that started in 2020. During that period, city staff worked with local partners and development community leaders to develop a policy approach to ensure new homes are built, but also to ensure that more affordable homes are built. So again, very intentional. And this is not something, again, that you just snap your finger and it happens. Those of us in real estate understand that. The other part of this project was they developed a comprehensive plan 2040 vision as a blueprint. Couple of the guiding principles which stood out to me: equitable program that addresses housing needs for residents and families with low and moderate incomes across Denver. 2, a predictable program with clear and transparent processes, requirements, and outcomes. 3, a market-based program that responds to varied market conditions. So that stood out to me because obviously if you were doing affordable housing development, say like Dominion, who came to us initially probably 6 or 7 years ago for their first project that they came to this board for on bond financing on Brawley Parkway near Walmart. I want to say actually it was probably 2017, 2018. Real estate, the world has changed
Very much so.
substantially in that time, right? So
Very much so.
you can have a plan, but it also needs to be adaptable to the market challenges specific to that market. Another thing they did, voted to approve an expanding affordability policy, which was a joint effort between the planning department and the mayor. And the city continued to expand its affordable housing policy with the focus on not only adding new homes, but also retaining current affordable homes. So we'll talk again, continue to talk more about that here shortly. Couple things also. Came up with a 5-year strategic plan, Denver Department of Housing Stability. So if you're taking notes, that's HOST is how they reference it. And this was the goal of HOST. So this was started again, you go back to 2020, 2021, started in 2022. So 5-year target. And here's what the goals were. Increase the portion of total homes in Denver that are income restricted from 7 to 8% of the total homes. Also, again, we'll hear this a lot, preservation of 7,000 ownership and rental homes. So again, key component, you hear the preservation. Including creation of 900 supportive housing apartments. The other thought was try to reduce the rate of cost burden. We've had some conversations on that as well, as Nashville's costs have increased. The amount of someone's salary that they're paying for housing cost, for rent, is obviously increased just due to the growth and cost of real estate in Nashville. So
what was that third one before cost burden?
yeah, reduce the rate of housing cost burden among low and moderate income households. And their goal was to go from 50, I didn't get to that yet, their goal was to go from 59% to 51% on that. And then Also to preserve at least 950 apartments and income-restricted rental properties and for-sale homes. So both targeting rental and home ownership. And then other target was to increase the home ownership rate among low and moderate income households from 36% to 41%. And what's another one, and the home ownership rate among BIPOC households from 41% to 45%. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Definitely need these.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
You said 41 to 45?
Yes, for BIPOC households. So again, you see the rental, but also the home ownership side, a really two-pronged approach. Another one that, and this is something that's in our unified housing strategy as well, is to reduce the number of evictions filed by 25%.
That's a big thing. I noticed that in Austin, they really focusing on evictions now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Curtailing that, yeah.
So their target in Denver, and again, this plan, really started 2021, went into place in like 2022. So this is their 5-year target, the Denver Department of Housing Stability host. And that equates to going from 8,800 in their numbers to 6,600 evictions annually. So again, it comes back to keeping people in their current homes. Support advancement of prioritization policy to allow residents at risk or who have been displaced priority access to new affordable housing. And then benchmark other key measures such as foreclosures or among income restricted units and households mobility in 2022 to establish targets. And then as far as big picture, what are the goals? So we're in 2025 now. The host, their goal is to deliver at least 2,100 units. That's a lot of newly developed or preserved income restricted housing units by December 31st, 2025.
This was their goal set in 21.
So it was set then. The policy started. The plan started in 2022. I was not able to find any information on where they are to this point, but
And that's
So
per,
keep it.
per year? Or
the total
So like half of what
over
we,
5 years.
Yeah, what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, 2,100 units in
We said
essentially 5 years. 2,100 units. Yeah.
2,100.
What are your thoughts on that?
that's actually not very many.
Yeah, I thought you said 21,000 at first.
Oh no, 2,100.
Okay, you did say 21,000.
But this is specifically
Okay.
with host. So this
Okay.
is housing stability.
Okay, so it's like one of their programs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
gotcha.
not including like light tech?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just the host.
Okay.
This is
Really
just
too
host.
small for that.
And then create a pipeline by directly funding at least 1,450 income restricted units by December 31st, 2025. And then it says, which this is also part of it, assist at least 2,000 unsheltered individuals to move indoors by December 31st, 2025. So again, you're dealing with the homelessness. And it said improve Denver's shelter system, so at least 70% of those surveyed report satisfaction with their experience. And then the goal was to provide housing exits for at least 2,000 of those homeless people by December 31st, 2025.
That's huge.
Yeah. So really, really robust. And then I'll talk to some of the things that they're doing there as well. And then I'll probably, you all may want to chime in on some of these, but I thought this was interesting. Develop innovative solutions to close the gap. Bring 2,000 people experiencing homelessness indoors. Connect 2,000 people to permanent housing. So you're gonna bring 2,000 in that are homeless, and then find housing for the 2,000 that are also homeless. Permanent housing is part of the 5-year goal. Couple of things that they're doing, which is interesting because Nashville just approved this as well. One of these, but one of the things they're looking into is prefab buildings because of the speed. And I'll read you all a quote. This is from a designer with the firm based in Denver, which I think speaks to some of what we're trying to do. We have a lot of undeveloped urban lots within the city center and in central neighborhoods that are really ripe for housing development, but they are too expensive to develop. We need more density to make them pencil. Ain't that a real estate term? If I ever heard one myself, so
Don't even use a pencil anymore.
exactly. So this firm, they're looking at ways to maximize the density of urban lots by testing low-rise concepts with features such as alley access, shared amenities, exterior staircases. There's a real focus on how to use mixed uses in a way that can create micro-communities at the block scale. They're also looking at how to standardize prefab buildings to eliminate barriers to development. They've been and working to remove, obviously, I guess barriers when it comes to permitting, etc. So really trying to standardize that is one of the things they're looking at. So anyway, great example there. The other item that they are looking at is also single stair. They've actually already started this in Denver. Is the single stairwell in development. So if you've been to like some multifamily buildings or condos, you've got a stairwell on the right side of the building. Then you have
Okay. Yeah.
you've got two stairwells instead of
right,
one. So
typically.
that's cost, that's space. So they actually just passed in Nashville here this summer, where buildings up to, I want to say it's six stories, can have that single stairwell.
So if you're way on this end, the stairwell's over here.
The issue is it's only 4 units per floor.
Oh,
and
okay,
it's
okay.
mandated by state law. So
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's different.
Safety.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
no.
But what are your thoughts on that? Because I thought that was when I did this research initially prior to it passing here, but I thought it was pretty
on single
interesting.
stair specifically,
Mhm. Yeah.
I think maybe the impact will be muted in Nashville until these new zoning districts are implemented. RN and RL, if you guys have been following that, and then
You
second.
want to go into a little detail on those?
I'll come back to it. And the second reason why I think those impacts will be muted are not fire code related or anything, but more so parking related.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look through a lot of the documents that were submitted with the state level single stair legislation as well as the local, a lot of the photos showed very limited parking. And not saying developers and banks shouldn't allow that. They absolutely should. What I would caution is that it's very hard to get financing if you don't have parking, and the current culture surrounding parking in Nashville would almost need it.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's good, and I'm glad that we did it. I think it's going to take time for the results to bear fruit, or for that legislation to bear fruit, until our transit system gets more robust as well as being more accepted. And what was the second thing you asked? The RN and RL.
Yeah.
So those are more what most folks would call missing middle housing zoning. The RN a little bit lower scale density, and the RL a little bit higher scale. Going to be very much different. Instead of having a hard and fast cap on the number of units, which there are some, especially with the RN, it'll be more of a form-based design. So, meaning you're building within a specified volume on a specific acreage, and so long as you adhere to the various setbacks and things like that, you're able to, in theory, get more units on a smaller lot, but not in a sense that it's overwhelming or changing the character of the community. So I think those will be huge, especially for these in-town neighborhoods. And then the RL districts are also going to be huge. those, again, similar concept, more form-based. I think what is going to have a bigger impact from an affordability perspective is legislation that was also jointly introduced, and the public hearing is on the 16th of this month. So I would encourage you folks to attend. That's September 16th. It's a voluntary affordable housing bonus. So essentially in some of those districts, and I believe it's relegated to the RL district, it would allow for developers to voluntarily restrict 10%, a minimum of 10% of their units to 80% and below, and that would allow developers to then get a density bonus. And so the hope is that more folks other than just the LDGs and the Dominiums and the Ellingtons and the Holiday Ventures are building affordable housing. So that there's more folks that are able to recognize the economic benefit from that and build it all over the city as opposed to various smaller census tracts, which has been unfortunately the norm in the past decade.
That's interesting. Would that apply? I'll tell you one of the issues that I do a lot of infill.
Sure.
Just not starting
Which is
on
what we're,
multifamily side.
this is what the key is to part of this is taking advantage of infill lots.
Yeah.
And I should say, the affordability bonus, again, unfortunately, because of state law, it is relegated to rental as opposed to for sale.
Oh, okay. So if we do a lot of rental infield too. So if like what I've seen a lot is like we're going to an area where it's R6 zone, right?
Yep. So you put two.
You put 6,000 square feet. But a lot of the lots are like 5,700 square feet. So you can't put but one unit on there.
Because they're not big enough.
Not big enough.
Right.
Okay. So with that 10% bonus, which allows them to put more units, well, first we could address that and maybe reduce that and say, hey, if it's an R6 lot and you within so many square feet of 6,000, or just lower it, then you can still put 2 units on it. So you're losing a lot of units that way. Also, you have nonprofits or affordable housing developers now that are building in these areas. Of course, we're one of them. And we're limited about how many units we can put on that lot because of that zoning and the square foot issue. So would that bonus apply to?
So again, to my knowledge, per state law, it would be relegated to just rental.
Well, if you're doing rental.
Yes, if you're doing rental, and then I don't have the legislation in front of me, but I want to say it's relegated to the RL districts.
Okay, I got you.
I don't think that it applies. It definitely doesn't apply to R6.
Right.
But it might apply to the RN in some capacity. I don't quote me on that. But I know it applies to the RL districts.
Okay.
Which may or may not impact what the nonprofit does. So, that being said, I mean, maybe there's opportunities for partnership with other developers that do build, and so that you're able to get some sort of collaboration there. What I would also say is those districts aren't going to just be the panacea of changing affordable housing. It's still going to very much follow land use policy in that they're going to be within certain areas of corridors and arterials, not in the center of neighborhoods. So it's going to be helpful, but it's not going to be the end all be all. The silver bullet solution, I mean.
Well, I mean, it's a good solution. We're getting help in the infield, with the new overlays. You can add auxiliary units, daddies, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's still, you get real close to being able to put 2 full units, but uses like 1 unit and a smaller one in the back or a granny pad, something over the garage or something like that.
There is related to this legislation that I think was introduced but deferred regarding ADUs. Again, that's going to be helpful, but unfortunately that legislation, I don't know if that's a state law versus city law. It is also relegated to just single family in the sense that whoever owns the primary dwelling unit also has to own the ADU. So that's a little bit limiting.
Say that one more time.
So like if
You want accessory dwelling units?
Yes.
Oh, so
It's
yeah.
just ready for
So the
rental.
part you have to,
Yeah.
the person that
Can't
owns,
sell it.
You, oh yeah,
Yeah, you can't sell it.
Yeah.
You just
It's
have
a-
2
right.
units there. Yeah, so it's due for rental. But I see the impact of the REO because you start there, you can get a lot more units in the market a lot quicker than infield, of course.
Yeah,
But it'll trickle down.
and if you have
Yeah.
accepted forms, you can copy paste in the alleys, and
Right.
in that sense, you're able to get more units and boost the income of the individuals that own the house. So,
I think it's a big step in the right direction. I mean, start here, multifamily kind of sets the way, the path, and then it'll slowly go down. But I know a lot of neighborhoods, they kind of frown on a lot of density, but I understand.
Why, from your perspective, what, because that's the key, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
again, like,
Yeah.
you got to increase the supply, increase the density, especially in an area where there's already services, especially in areas where you already have sidewalks, you have schools, you have transportation, which is a huge piece of it, because people, if they don't have a reliable transportation, how can they go to work? How can they get to services? So it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Right.
Just curious from your perspective, since you're doing that, what are you seeing from people that are kind of on the multifamily piece?
Well, I guess not so much on multifamily, but the infield,
Okay.
the higher density. Of course, I live in a district where it's high density, downtown area.
Sure.
It's always, but when you go to like say East Nashville, places like that,
Don't
where
say
you,
East. There's a lot of density in East Nashville.
What?
Be careful now.
okay, I'll take out. Let's just say areas where because I own property there.
Sure.
There are, you're used to having maybe a half an acre or
In where?
East Nashville.
Oh, East. Oh,
Well, you asked again.
Fine, go
Well,
ahead.
it's the same thing in North Nashville.
Sure,
you
sure,
go
I'm
up
with
to
you.
something like that. But
some areas where there are areas at East Nashville that you have larger
lots, yeah.
Fair enough.
so when you get used to those areas, and it's been that way for decades and decades, then you start putting a lot of higher density. You start taking down trees. There's more parking, and people tend to more park like they rarely park on the streets, and they have an issue with parking and noise. And I think that's what most people are looking at when the impact of higher density. So it's just being used to having more open space and less traffic and less noise. That's what I think when it comes to higher density.
yeah, I think that is certainly a portion of it. I think it's behooves us to communicate as leaders in this community differently about fear, what's perceived and what's real, as well as communicate with data and stories, like what happens. It's like if we as a city don't want our pumpkin spice lattes to cost $15,
That's true.
then we need to have more housing and communicate how we get there. And that's not a fear of loss of trees. That's these benefits outweigh these costs.
Right, and it's a delicate balance.
What are you?
It really is.
So what are you saying? I mean, what do you say?
I'm on both sides because I understand. I grew up on 3/4 acre. No one parking on the street, in a community. So now I live in a district, Germantown area, where it's like everyone's parked on the
different.
street,
Right.
and now every house is like 5 foot from each other.
What's up, neighbor? How
I
you
know.
doing?
I'm building a house now, and I went inside and I looked out the window before the windows were put in to cut out, and like 10 foot over, I could see the other house right there in my face. So I've gotten used to it. So I understand taking that to a community that's been used to. And I hate to use East Nashville, but it's a very nice area. And
Can I ask you
yeah.
a question?
Mhm.
How did you get used to it? Because, and I
Will you be
don't,
honest?
I promise I don't want to sound ageist. I'm curious.
Oh.
How
Shots fired.
no.
Oh, I will be definitely honest with you. Did I ever get used to it? No. What it is, but I compromise because now I can get here. It's less than a mile.
You're on
I can,
time.
I can get to offices.
Yeah.
In East Nashville. Well, my offices are in East Nashville. I go over the bridge, and it's less than 2 miles. So the convenience factor, I love.
It's different.
It's
but
different.
There's benefits.
There's benefits now, but the other stuff, I've been there for 25 years, so it was less dense when I first moved in. Now it's super dense. So I think I'm just used to it now. I'm just used to it. But I don't think you
And
really.
you think the benefits outweigh the costs?
For me, it does, because I love convenience. I love convenience. But as I get older, I think I like air quality and having. So I understand it's I can really understand both sides of the fence. So it's trying to find that balance as to how much density we add, but it doesn't interfere with the integrity of the area. Because it will change. You bring multifamily to an area that doesn't have multifamily, it will change it. You start putting 2 units on a lot where an area that only had, 1 house per every half, 3/4 acres, it's gonna change the feel. Because I've experienced both of it, and I know how it feels. But we do need density because I do believe everybody, I shouldn't say has the right, but needs to be able to live in a distance from where they work. And if somehow we could actually have that balance of being able to create more units, but still keep a feel of community when you produce the units, I think that will work. Because you get certain elements when you create density, you get things that you didn't have before, that when you had less density. And so I think that's the hard trade-off when you have density.
Yeah, so, I mean, kind of just led to a great discussion, so.
I go on that for a
Yeah,
long
no,
time.
so curious, so
You don't
one
want
of
to
the
sound
things,
too NIMBY, right?
Yeah.
one of the items I was going to bring up briefly, but kind of falls in line with this is, we're talking about density. There's obviously been some recent legislation as far as increasing upzoning in the nation's area. And there are some folks that, are outspoken against that, and obviously ultimately end up passing. So to your point, it's everything. There's some sort of trade-off, but I don't know. I look at it from a supply standpoint, just basic supply demand. Price is high. It's supply and demand. You need more supply, which this country, candidly, we're not just here but nationwide. We're lacking supply. We're still
Supply drives down pricing.
Anyway, what have you kept up? I'm just curious. Have you kept up with that legislation in the nations?
Not really in the nations.
Okay.
I really haven't.
What are your thoughts on that?
Put it everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
So exactly what is some real foreign to it?
It was an urban design overlay,
Okay.
and it broke apart different portions of the nations into single family, but in a multi-family style, meaning RM40.
Oh, okay.
But those lots are small. Obviously,
You can't put that many on it. You can't put
Exactly.
that many on it.
And other commercial corridors that were more mixed use.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it just essentially upzoned the whole area, but it applied an urban design overlay so that it is more form-based in how it's created. And the net benefit of that will be, instead of having, you mentioned R6, I mean, I think most of the nations is R6 and R5, or was R6 and R5. And those restrictions encourage people because of the desirability of the neighborhood. It encouraged developers to put massively oversized houses on small lots, and the only people that can afford those are millionaires.
That's a valid point you make.
And
That's
so,
the reason it has to be built.
If you're allowing for the opportunity, it does not force people to rebuild, but if you're allowing for the opportunity to have 4 units on one lot instead of one massive one, you can do the math. No one's going to pay $1 million for a house that's a fourth of the size.
Correct.
So you're allowing for other folks to get access to the high quality retail, schools, walkability, as well as limiting the impacts that come from that. Instead of having to drive from Murfreesboro or Bellevue with clogging up the roads to get to the businesses that are already there, maybe folks can just live there.
That makes a lot of sense because supply and demand. If someone's selling their lot and, like I say, the average price is $300,000 to $500,000, just for the dirt, and we're talking about an infill lot that's 6,000 square feet, you can't build a 15, 16, 2,000 square foot house and sell it for. It's just impossible. You already in the red. You
Plus
got-
housing costs, I mean,
Yeah.
construction costs.
You had
have increased.
over $1 million just to buy and build. You've got to sell it for 1.56. So it's not that developers are trying to outprice everyone. It's the person selling the lot that started, which is fine.
Which they're looking at it,
Yeah.
they're selling at market.
It's still
the
the market rate, so
dictates.
So I love it. I'm going to investigate some more, but actually, from what you just told me, I love it a lot. I like it.
Yeah.
I think people will adapt to it because now they can get into the city, and so $2 million they can get in for $500,000 or $600,000. So,
Yeah, I was just pulling in articles. I pulled some research on that. So, I mean, one of the big things, obviously, too, increasing the height. So, on some of the corners, you can go higher. So, the homes now can go up to 45 feet in height. Other areas, 35 feet. So, obviously, it allows you to go vertical.
Right.
Maximize, again, comes back to maximizing
you get
maximizing the space. But I would say this is probably one of the, and this article says it as well. I would agree. It's probably one of the largest zoning changes that I can recall in Nashville. 'Cause that's one of the things that, rightful or wrongful, you could say is when it, and I talked about Denver. I mean, part of it is the zoning.
Right.
Like that's supply density. That's the key, which is policy. Some of that is policy. You've got to be committed to that. So, great discussion. All right. Well, I'll put together some more notes on Denver and send it to you all.
Can we talk a little bit about the Denver stuff too as well?
Do you want
Or-
for the last couple? Sure. Go ahead. Let's do that. We can
Oh, we're
finish
not
this another
fast.
time. No, we're good. It's a good discussion. Go ahead.
I guess what I really appreciated about what you said and
Sure. We can just stay on this. That's fine.
what Denver is doing is all of those goals and plans that you had are what I call, or not just me, what other folks would call SMART goals, meaning it's the acronym for specific,
Yep.
measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Mm-hmm.
So as we think about this specific committee and this specific board, what the authorities that are delegated to us by the state, as we continue to evolve and work with other parts of government to create new programs, new policies, everything that we do as a board, in my opinion, needs to be a SMART goal. And that way there's accountability from this board, but also the city. They can correct and tweak goals as they need, because what may work in Denver may not work exactly the same in Nashville. So we as a city need to be able to see that data, change, pivot on a dime to address our needs. And I don't know, I really appreciated it. Thank you for.
Oh, no, thank
Yeah.
you. We kind of had a talk several months ago about picking cities that seemed like they were applicable. One of the reasons I chose Denver is obviously Denver, their growth kind of started a little bit before Nashville, so they're in the middle of it. And also dealing with a lot of the same issues. You have the kind of growth, the demand, what happens, people want to live there, prices go up. I mean, for us that own our homes, and we've been there for some years, I mean, you kind of look at what you paid, and then people that are moving here now or need to buy a home now,
It's wow.
and rents, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing, so.
That was a really good report. I like the numbers that you brought out too. And I'm starting to see that these cities are really aggressive on their programs.
Yeah.
Trying to attack. And I guess we've got to kind of wait to see what the outcomes are. That's what I'm really curious about. All the programs have been established. Like when I read through this, a lot of these programs have just been established. Some is this year, and matter of fact, some are in 2022, just like Denver. So I guess they're looking at a 5-year model and seeing what has happened, what the outcome actually really was from the program. So Yeah, that was a really good report. I mean, to see it, yeah.
As we continue to explore these other markets and think about, again, the authorities that the state has delegated to IDBs across the state,
Right.
things that I know Denver has, as well as Austin, are
Similar.
IDB bonds.
Yeah.
So that authority was granted.
350 million, 2022, yeah.
And
You're talking about the state legislation.
state legislation.
Yeah,
So that authority was granted. Obviously, we need legislation enacted locally to opt into that.
That's correct.
So we don't have the ability to do it yet. We need Metro to do it. Secondly, I know in Austin as well, hopefully we can talk a little bit about that in your presentation, is about industrial development districts. Because as we know, infrastructure is a huge issue with affordability, period. And so through legislation that was enacted in 24, as again in 25, and probably some more changes in 26, that legislation, again, if Metro opts into it, will come to this board.
You're talking about the bonds? You're back to the bonds?
No, that's separate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the districts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to
Yeah.
put that information down because I'm probably going to do some more research on the infrastructure within the district.
So that legislation will allow folks to come and issue infrastructure development bonds through our board. So as we think about other programming initiatives that we want to do, what we want to do with those bond issuance fees, whether that's Rebuilding Together Nashville grants, whether that's any
I'll
number
have
of
some
things.
thoughts on these.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, but not necessarily that organization. Yes,
I
good
fully
point.
agree with Joss and just want to add when we talk about our goals. 'Cause
Yep.
the purpose of this committee was to talk about, you know, how we would like to see our involvement in the county going forward, and where we play at the intersection of it all. Just a reminder that we also, we're looking at housing, of course, is absolutely critical and key, but also workforce development
Yep.
and small businesses as well.
Yep.
So as we
Agreed.
continue our research and report out, we gotta make sure we touch on that as well.
Yep. All goes
We're
hand in hand
asking lots of
together.
questions on the back end when
Sure.
people come to us, like, how are you doing with local hiring and who are you working with? We're not setting out from the beginning what our expectations we'd like to see when people come here for deals, so.
All right. Yeah. All great comments. Only thing I'll say regarding the legislation on the bond piece, certainly asked about that. I don't have anything to share on that. Have not heard anything on that. But obviously that's something that we've expressed that we'd be interested in being a part of as a board. And so certainly we'll keep that on the forefront as soon as a decision or there's an update on that. We'll make sure that this board is providing an update on that. Really great comments, really great discussion. So I'll stop right there. We've got a couple minutes left, but before I get to anything else, so Board Member Wright, at the next meeting, do you want to do Austin or would you like to present?
It doesn't matter.
We can do both.
Okay. Well,
Austin and New Orleans.
okay.
You want me to just give everybody one of these to read over or just hold
I
it
think
for the next
technically,
meeting?
we have to get it all from Jamari.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right, I
we
forgot.
can just ask them to send it
Okay.
out to all of us.
I
And,
could save some trees.
Yes, that part too.
And one thing I do want to come back to is kind of the current unified housing strategy at a future meeting. I was going to touch on that a little bit today, but we can hold on that. But really great discussion. I'll see you all next month at the next meeting, and we'll plan on time-wise. We'll maybe let you go start off.
Okay.
And then maybe you be prepared, and if we get into kind of what happens in this meeting, we've got a little bit more
I know, it
flexibility.
gets a little
We've got a
more-
little bit more flexibility, which
Yeah,
is
Josh,
which is
he
the
got me doing a
purpose.
little research now. I'm about to add.
Which is the
Good,
purpose
yeah.
of it. So if we end up going, if the conversation takes us somewhere, then we can do New Orleans at a different meeting. So
Okay, no problem.
we'll let you start off. So. All right, with that, with there being no further business of this ad hoc committee meeting of the Industrial Development Board, before I do that, first of all, I'm sorry, before I adjourn, let me thank you all the board members for A, coming, but B, your service, and then obviously your dedication and really thoughtful comments. I feel like I always I'm always learning something, which is good. So thank you all for that very great meeting. I want to thank Metro as well for putting everything together for us, and obviously Metro IT as well for setting this up. So with that, with there being no further business here of this ad hoc committee meeting of the Industrial Development Board, we will adjourn. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.